Fresh surveys revealed Donald Trump leading in every single swing state, based on the most recent poll from every single state. Today, we will be examining the 2024 electoral map as he is on target to defeat Kamala Harris in next month's contest. We will also fill in the map using a poll closing sequence from east to west, so that you may view how the map will really color in red and blue on election night. Voting will finish in 6 states throughout the eastern half of the nation at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Together, they have 60 electoral votes. Georgia, a place Joe Biden visited in 2020, is the most competitive of these states. Now Donald Trump is on course to win the Peach State by a stunning 5 points based on the most current survey, and one of the most left-leaning pollsters available today, Quinnipiac, carried out this one. Trump leads by 1.5% on average. Surely he will get Georgia back under his direction. Biden's triumph here in 2020 was unique. Kamala Harris won not here, but nowhere else. Trump has led in the polling average since last month, and thus Georgia, the first state we will be filling on our map, will be lean red. Kamala Harris's performance in Virginia, next up, has been horrible. In the most recent Rasmussen Reports poll, she leads by just 3%. Rasmussen has been among the most reliable pollsters available. Harris averaged 4.8%, less than half of Biden's 10-point margin of victory in 2020. This race is becoming tighter, and from here, it is only going to grow more competitive. Trump most certainly has a chance of capturing a state or territory that Biden has acquired since 2020. Based on polling, Virginia will also be lean blue on our map and is presently more competitive than Georgia. For one candidate or the other, the surviving states will be rather solid. Trump will take Indiana, Kentucky, and South Carolina effortlessly. Harris will carry Vermont, and so Trump will lead with 44 electoral votes. Harris behind with just 16 following the first poll closures of the evening. Voting will next finish in 3 states around 7:30 p.m. Of the 3, North Carolina will be the most fiercely competitive. Trump won this state barely in 2016 and 2020, and he is en route to win it once more in 2024. The most recent Emerson College survey shows the former president to have a 1-point edge. Still, he has led in all 5 of the most recent surveys carried out here. Looking at the distribution of recent polls, North Carolina boasts 14 fresh polls. Among these, Kamala Harris leads in just 2, compared to Joe Biden, who was leading in 2020 at this stage. Her performance here has been abysmal. At this stage in 2016, Hillary Clinton also led in North Carolina. Trump is therefore on course to win North Carolina a 3rd time. Drawing from the most current poll, it will be tilt red. Next, in Ohio, Trump leads by 6% in the most current poll. He runs 8 ahead on average, like in 2020 and 2016. The polling here most certainly underestimates him, because at this moment in October 2020, Joe Biden was genuinely en route to win Ohio. Eventually, though, he lost the state by almost a double-digit margin. Against Harris this time, I can well see Trump gaining the state by 10% or more. However, Ohio will be lean red based just on the most current statistics. Finally, of course, West Virginia is the 2nd most Republican state in the U.S. Trump is likely to triumph by a clear margin. Voting will finish in 16 states, plus the District of Columbia, 30 minutes later at 8 p.m. These states, taken together, earn 171 electoral votes, and this is by far the biggest poll closure scheduled for the evening. Though most of these states will be rather secure for one contender or the other, Trump is easily going to win down south with solid victories in Oklahoma, Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. Kamala Harris is going to carry Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland, and the District of Columbia by solid margins. Illinois, New Jersey, and Delaware will probably be blue. Hence, starting in Pennsylvania, probably the most significant state in the nation, we are going to start the 4 tough campaigns. Whoever takes Pennsylvania has a quite decent chance of winning the election whole. Although Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are even in this Emerson College survey, based on the most current polling, moving 1 poll back to the Trafalgar poll reveals Trump leads by 3%. One of the only pollsters that fairly projected Donald Trump's triumph over Hillary Clinton in 2016 was the Trafalgar Group. Hillary Clinton's poll showed her still leading with 7.5% points when she lost Pennsylvania back in 2016. Kamala Harris has none of the lead here today. Although Pennsylvania has been extremely tight over the past few months, given just how much Trump has been undervalued here in the past, he is in a rather good position to turn the state back, a state lost by just 1% in 2020. Based on the most recent polling, Pennsylvania will show on our map lean red, though this is clearly overestimating support for the vice president. Up in New Hampshire, the polling shows Kamala Harris on track to win the key state by 7%. Still, on our map, New Hampshire will probably be blue. Then, up in Maine, the polls here too are exaggerating Democratic support. Kamala Harris leads the state overall by 9%, but she lags 26% behind in the 1st district. In the 2nd district, Trump commands a 7% lead. Maine as a whole will thus be probably blue. The 1st district will be solid blue, and the 2nd district probably for Trump. And last in Florida, a battlefield state from bygone times, but not anymore. Looking at the most recent poll, Trump leads by 5%. Republicans are ruling now in this state, and every single time he is undervalued. He will most likely be able to win the Sunshine State with upwards of 10 points. In both 2016 and 2020, though they never won this state, the polling shows Democrats gaining Florida. Barack Obama was the last Democrat to carry Florida. Donald Trump is thus in a quite great position today to secure the state 3 times in a succession. The most latest survey indicates it will be lean red. Voting at 8:30 p.m. will finish in just the state of Arkansas, clearly a solid red voting. Then voting ends in a further 15 states around the nation at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, totaling 163 electoral votes. Trump is going to comfortably prevail in Wyoming, North and South Dakota, all of Nebraska save its 2nd district, as well as Kansas and Louisiana. By 15% or more, these states will all fall to him. Then for the competitive states, we will start down in the Sun Belt with Arizona, one of the 7 swing states. Already, we have filled Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, and thus far, every single one of them has turned to Trump. Arizona will be just the same. Insider Advantage reports that in the most recent survey, he leads by 1%. Another survey from Emerson College taken just last week shows a past president ahead by 3. Moreover, Trump leads in 8 of the 11 most recent surveys taken in Arizona. Harris simply leads in 3, and thus the former president is dominating here today, a state he lost by a very small percentage in 2020. He is definitely en route to reclaim it. Then, in Colorado, Democrats lead by 11 points. In a Democratic internal survey, Harris beats Trump. The state will thus be probably blue. The most recent poll shows the vice president leading by just 6, a state Joe Biden won by a double-digit margin 4 years ago. New Mexico, hence, is essentially only going to fit the lean Democratic line. Trump leads by 5 points next in Texas, based on the most recent Emerson College survey. This survey most likely undervalues him, as well as all the others. With almost a double-digit advantage, he will most likely be able to capture the Lone Star State. Nonetheless, Texas will be lean red based on current data. We next proceed up to the Midwest, arguably the most important area in the whole nation, starting with Minnesota, where Kamala Harris leads by 3 points in the most recent Rasmussen Report survey. Considering that Kamala Harris is running with Tim Walz, the literal governor of the state, Joe Biden, without running with Minnesota's governor, won the state by a 7-point margin in 2020. Therefore, this is a really meager margin of victory. Today, Kamala Harris leads by less than half of the margin of the current president from 4 years past. Things are looking bad for her, much as they are in Virginia, a state she ought to be winning by far more. Still, in both of these states, the vice president leads by just 3 points. In Iowa, Trump leads by 4% according to the most current survey. Once more, though, this is clearly an undervaluation of the former president. Though on the map, it will be lean red in the 2nd district of Nebraska, ultimately, he is likely to win the state by almost 10 points. Harris leads by 9, hence, the color is probably blue. This is one of those 7 swing states. Right now, we have Nevada, Michigan, and Wisconsin remaining. Kamala Harris is not as far led in one single one of them. Now for Wisconsin. The most recent poll from Wisconsin today has the former president leading by 1 point. The Trafalgar Group claims this, and polls for the former president have been showing positive results. His result on a recent Atlas Intel poll was 2 points higher. Among the 2020 pollsters, Atlas Intel was the most accurate one. You can thus observe here that Wisconsin has always been rather competitive. Given Joe Biden led in the state by 6 points in 2020, Clinton by 5.5 points, Kamala Harris is most likely going to lose the state. Furthermore, Hillary Clinton lost Wisconsin totally in 2016, whereas Joe Biden barely prevailed with 0.6% here. Here, the tides truly are running Trump's way over only the past week. The former president has shot to the top of the betting markets. He moved from having just a 43% chance of success. He is up now at 48. The probability indicates that it is essentially a statistical tie, and so Wisconsin will be flipped right on the map, with Trump reclaiming the advantage. The most liberal of the 7 swing states, Michigan, is also where Trump is leading again. Actually, Trump leads by 1% in both of the 2 most recent polls, as well as the most current one. Furthermore, considering Biden and Clinton's margins, polling data from 2020 and 2016 shows that Trump is performing far better than he has in any of the two past elections he has been involved with. Viewing Michigan, it is definitely getting more and more competitive, given Harris's leads continue shrinkage. Furthermore, on the betting markets, Kamala Harris's chances are barely 52.5%, Trump at 45.7%. Just 1 week ago, Kamala Harris had almost a 70% chance of winning the state. She is thus truly collapsing here. Michigan is now a tilt-red state on target for Donald Trump. Things are not looking great for the vice president in New York either. We are thus addressing it since this is important. The monolithic blue state that New York was once is no more. Harris trails by just 14 points. For background, every single Democrat running in every presidential contest starting in 1992 has been able to win the Empire State by 15 points or more. Voting will finish in 3 more states at 10 p.m., while Nevada will be the last of the 7 competitive swing states. Montana and Utah are clearly headed to Trump. Trump has thus carried every one of them thus far. Though it only has 6 electoral votes, Nevada might be the one going to Harris. To be honest, this is the swing state with the least importance, but the most recent survey shows Kamala cannot even lead here. In the most recent poll, she is behind by 1%. Based on an insider advantage poll performed 5 days ago, Trump leads, and therefore the silver state will be tipped red. With Trump winning a state no Republican has carried since 2004, voting will conclude in the 3 Pacific states of Idaho, solid red, 1 hour before midnight at 11 p.m. Harris is easily going to win Washington and California, while Oregon is only going to be probably blue. At midnight on the East Coast, Trump is going to win Alaska, while Harris is carrying Hawaii. Thus, with 312 votes in the Electoral College, Trump leads depending on the most current poll from every single state, and Harris is at just 226. Since Michael Dukakis in 1988, this is going to be the worst performance of any Democrat, every one of the 7 swing states. Furthermore, it is quite competitive in Virginia and Minnesota. Historically, Trump has not performed as well as he is right now.